Hello, welcome to the second episode of the Creative Video Podcast. And today I have Mrs. Syaza with me here today. And Syaza, would you want to introduce yourself?
Hi everybody, thank you for having me, Helmi. So I'm Syaza Nazura. I write and talk about graduate employability and job seeking on social media. And I'm also an author and a blogger. So right now I'm working, well technically I'm not working full time. I left my job last year because of my baby. So what I'm currently doing is full time on Kejar Kejaya, which is a brand that I created on job seeking at the international school.
Wow, that's pretty impressive. So what did you study in college?
So back in college, I actually did actuarial science as a degree. Really enjoyed studying it. I love math. Challenge was fun, but I realized into my third year that I didn't really enjoy working in that field despite loving studying what I did. And I realized that I kind of like working with students. So after graduating, I kind of just jumped into education because I realized that's the best industry that would fit my personality and the things that I like to do the most. So my first job was in Monash University as an academic advisor. I then went on to do my master's in education in the UK, came back to Malaysia, worked in an international school in university counselling, and now here I am.
Cool. All right, so you obviously use content marketing to help brand yourself to where you are, right? So from your first job as the, what was it called again?
Academic advisor.
Academic advisor. I guess, like, how did you get into like the business that you did right now? Is it because people were asking you for help, or how did it start?
So that actually started way back even before university life. So I started blogging when I was in high school because I went to boarding school, and you can't bring phones in those days to boarding school. So we have the cyber cafe that you can use the computers for a while during break times and evenings. So I wrote a blog that at that point to kind of just share my stories of what's happening in school to my family and friends back home. And then I realized that as I was leaving high school and going into pre-university, that I kind of just enjoy writing about what I did and the things that I was going through. So it started off with like scholarship interviews and my experiences in Intech doing ADP, and then I realized that people were starting to follow the blog and like reading up about certain topics, and I was like, okay, let's probably try to do this a little bit more, just share my experience as a student going to the US, all the things that I did and the experiences that I faced, and then that just kind of like blew up into what I do right now.
Okay, so your first audience, I would assume, are students kind of like you, just a couple of steps behind.
Yes.
Like they also want scholarship tips or something like that,
Yeah,
right?
so most of them started off as scholarship tips of like, oh, what can I do after SPM? I don't know what to apply for. Oh, should I do Asasi or Matrix or Foundation? Should I go for A-levels? Should I go to the UK or the US? So it started off things like that. So my initial audience were SPM leavers and university students thinking about like what to do or what to study. And then now it gradually shifted just because as I grow older, my audience are also getting a little bit older. So from just thinking about university, now they're thinking about careers and career planning and how do you make career changes once you're in the first job, going to your second job. So I think it's just naturally moving as my audience grew older, and as I grew older as well, the topic just shifted from university life into how do you make that transition from university to the working world.
So I guess your first entry into the content world was blogging, was
Yes.
writing, right? So your target was Malaysian students who want to get a scholarship specifically, or they just don't know what to do after SPM?
Both. So some of
Okay.
them were like, oh, I'm going for Mara interview. So what do I need to expect?
Okay.
And then I wrote about
Okay.
my Mara interview experience. So some of them looked up the blog because of the interviews. I was
Right.
also a part of a few Facebook groups that were
Okay.
like sharing experiences with the students. So
Okay.
that's kind of like, oh, I'm not sure what I'm supposed to do, and can you like share a little bit about accounting or economics or what's the difference? So I got a couple of my friends to kind of like do sharing session with the students just to like help them explore different opportunities.
Got it. So I assume you wrote in English 100%?
Now, yes. Well, not really, yeah, but yeah, I majority write in English because that's my strongest written language. But I used to also write in Malay or like informally on social media. Sometimes if they ask me in Malay, then I would try to also answer in Malay.
But if you post formal content, right?
It will be in English.
In English.
Yes.
So that means you gain your audience when you started by doing English content.
Correct.
Right? Okay. Interesting. So because me as a content creator myself, I do my content in English because I want to reach an international audience. But sometimes when I look at my YouTube video or my analytics, most of them are from Malaysia anyways. So I feel like, should I even do English or should I do Malay? So in your case,
English. So I think that's where my mine came in is I do English, but it's not like professional proper English. Like I don't use big jargons. I try to make it as though I'm speaking to my audience. So when they read
like
it,
a friend, right?
it's a friend. So they don't see it as this is an authority talking to me about university or careers. This is a friend. This is a sister that I can look up to. I always use that approach to make them feel comfortable with what they're reading, so that they want to know more and also help them to understand it a little bit easier.
Well, on that same topic, right?
Yeah.
If using that logic, if you want to reach a wider audience, would you have just done everything in BM instead of English? What do you think?
I would, but I'm actually not confident in my formal Malay or like to actually do the content that I do in Malay.
But as you said, it's just like talking to a friend, right?
Yes.
So if you're fine with that, why?
Yes. So if I do workshop presentation, my slides will be in English, but sometimes I will speak in Malay if the audience would want it to be in Malay. Like if they need me to explain stuff in Malay, I would do it, but the content of what I create will always be in English because it's just a lot easier. It comes naturally to
for
me.
you, right?
Yes.
But let's say you're equally good in both BM and Malay, like you totally can switch willy-nilly. Would you have built your brand on BM instead of English? What do you think?
Very good question. I think I would still probably go with English.
Because?
It's just something that I'm just a little bit more comfortable with. But I do know that what I do now with Kerja Kejaya and sharing career advice and all that, I do know that, and I realize that when I do the Q&A on Twitter, whenever I do it in Malay, it gets a little bit more traction.
Engagement, right, yeah.
And because a lot of them just are not comfortable in asking questions in English, or they're not used to it. So when I do Malay sessions, then usually it's a little bit more engaging for them to actually be able to engage more and like to.
So I actually done a case study for myself as well on my YouTube channel. I started in English just like you, and then when I tried some BM stuff, and then it did really well. So there's one video that I did about selling my wife's car on Carsem for 8,000 ringgit more than trade-in value. So I vlogged my journey, but what I did was I shot two videos, exactly the same content, but one in English, one in BM. So that particular content for Carsem, which is a Malaysia company, the BM one got like what, 20,000 views or something, or more, maybe more, but the English one only got 1,000. But funny thing enough, I did another content where it was an international brand. I was reviewing my Vespa, which is an international brand, not just Malaysia, Google, that kind of stuff, the whole world, right? So I did the exact same thing, the review in English and BM. The BM one only had 1,000 or something like that, or maybe less. But the English one got 5,000 plus. So I think the moral of the story is, if the topic that you're talking about, the company that you target is specifically Malaysian, just do BM. If you want to talk about a company that is international, maybe you want to promote like Wise app money transfer that's international, it would make more sense to do in English. If you want to talk about a brand that's like a Vespa or whatever, it makes sense to do in English. That's what I
definitely, because I
discovered.
think from the content that I created, because while it's catered, technically the audience is towards Malaysian graduates, but because the content is about career and employability and career development, personal development in general, so because of the fact that it's in English, it can literally just go out to anybody in the world, and it makes it a lot easier as well. So my LinkedIn is not just Malaysian, even though technically I think the majority of my followers are Malaysians, but I still do get like...
Do you get clients from not outside of Malaysia?
Not yet, no.
Right, but is that part of your plan?
Not really, because my end goal is helping reduce or kind of like impacting the employability here in Malaysia. So my focus is solely Malaysian graduates and job seekers. That's kind of also why I came back to Malaysia in the first place.
Right. Well, what I think, my opinion is that you can leave LinkedIn in English, but maybe Twitter you can try BM. So at least you have two different channels.
We'll try.
And you can see which one performs better. I've seen some BM content on LinkedIn do pretty well as well.
Yes, so it depends on who your network is on LinkedIn, and certain posts. And LinkedIn algorithm they change a lot. So
I think everybody changed a lot.
I don't understand LinkedIn algorithm now, because if you Google my name, my LinkedIn page won't come up anymore.
Really?
So I think I might be on, I don't know what happened. So we're trying to figure that out about what is happening, or why is LinkedIn not showing my own LinkedIn page. But yeah, their algorithm is changing all the time. So what used to work last year didn't work again this year, and you just have to play around with stuff. Okay,
so let's recap back a little bit here. So Syaza studied actuarial science. Turned out she doesn't really like it, which is why she didn't work at that job after graduation. She worked into student admission because she likes dealing with students, right?
Correct.
And then from there, you started to share your journey, teaching other students about college life, scholarships, and what to do after.
Well, technically that started before.
Yeah, that started before, but that's how you build your audience,
Brand.
I would say.
Yes.
Okay, so interesting for you, Syaza, is that you're using content really to sell yourself. You don't really have something to sell.
No, there's
Right?
there is a product. The only product I have is my book, but majority of the time it's just selling me and my services
Correct.
and selling the idea of this is Syaza Nazura.
Yeah, so that's really cool, guys. A lot of people who do content, they have a product to sell, right? And then
Yes.
let's say they want to sell whatever this thing, and then they have a sales funnel. They create content to drive traffic towards eventually buying the thing that they're trying to sell. But there's also people like Syaza and also myself. I don't really have a product to sell when I started,
Yeah.
but what it is exactly like you. I'm trying to sell myself. I want brands to work with me. I want to get an audience, and then typically brands want to collab with you because they want to have access to that audience.
Correct. Yes.
And in your case, your audience is students, job seekers,
young professionals.
any company who wants to sell something to target that audience, they would probably want to work with you.
Yeah, so most of who have been reaching out to me are kind of like job platforms who
Right,
are
right.
trying to promote their job seeking platform. To
Like Mau
reach
Kerja, that kind of stuff?
Yes, but I have my own boundaries on the type of things that I would promote. So even though like Mau Kerja, Epic Careers and all Rice Bowl, they kind of have an AI platform that all like graduates and job seekers can just submit their resumes, and then it will recommend jobs that are suitable for them based on their CVs. I don't tend to like to promote those kind of stuff because the way I approach my coaching is I want the person to actually know what they're looking for instead of letting other people tell them what they should be applying for. It's a kind of like a grey area of I want to promote those, but then it's against my own coaching principle of like when I work with people,
Yes.
I don't tell them to do this.
So in that case, you don't promote that basically? Is that
No.
correct? Yeah, okay. Yeah, that makes sense. Because you got to protect your brand.
Yes. It's more of like I have kind of like certain boundaries that I set of like if this goes against my own principle as what I do in coaching, I don't actively promote it.
Right.
Like, but if people share it, then usually I would just like it so that it will just show up on other people's feed and that's
Right.
it. But I don't actively promote it on my own brand.
Right. Okay. All right. So you worked as a business student admin.
Admin, yes.
But now you're not doing that anymore. You're doing something full time, which is building your
Kerja Kerjaya.
Kerja Kerjaya, which is a platform for.
So essentially what I do now full time is I'm a career coach or I call myself a career success facilitator. So I help people to find their own success. So Kerja Kerjaya is a brand that offers a fun way of or a fun approach to career planning and job seeking, because a lot of people hate job seeking. They hate applying for jobs. They hate going for interviews. I love going for interviews. I think partly because I love talking about myself. So going for interviews make it a lot easier because I know I like to talk about what I do and what I like to do. So I want to help other people so that they feel more comfortable going for interviews, looking for a job. So Kerja Kerjaya is trying to make it a little bit more fun and less stressful for people.
Okay, cool. Since you mentioned that you like talking about yourself, right? I'm just a little curious. So you met, I guess you consulted a lot of students or job
Yes.
seekers. If you can see something that's super common among them, the common problem, like what would you?
I would probably say they don't know why they do what they do.
For example?
Oh, I don't know why I study accounting. Oh, because my mom tells me to study accounting. So I don't know exactly why I'm doing it.
Okay, those are for students.
Yeah,
But let's
but
say
it's the same thing going for work, because when you are looking for a job, you don't know why you are looking for that job.
what doesn't make any sense.
Oh,
Right?
it does. I want to apply for Petronas. Why do you want to apply for Petronas? Oh, I studied chemical engineering, so I should apply for Petronas as an engineer. No, you don't have to.
But it makes sense.
It makes sense, but you don't have to. And then that goes on when the interviewer asks you, so why do you apply for this job, or why should we hire you? They don't know how to answer that because
right.
they don't know the exact reason that they're going into it. My purpose for what I do is simple. I like to work with students and I like to be a part of their journey to success.
Right.
So academic advising, university counselling, career coaching, that all makes sense.
Right.
And that's why going for interviews is easy for me because I can talk about that and it's very, very obvious from the work that I do. But for a lot of people, they don't know exactly why they're doing certain things, or part of it is they do it because it's what is expected out of them. Oh, I should be an engineer because I studied engineering. But if you don't like engineering, why would you want to be an engineer?
Right.
You don't have to be an engineer just because you studied engineering. You can be something else. But they don't see that. So when they do something because, oh, society expects me to do this.
Yeah.
And then same goes with content creating. Oh, everybody is doing content. But when you don't have a reason why you do it, then you just fall out after a while and say, oh, it's not working for me, or like this is not engaging, or like it's getting boring, so I'm not going to do it anymore. So you need to find that purpose, and a lot of people don't know their purpose.
Interesting. That's deep. Okay, so
Very
anyways, going back to that guy who studied engineering, wants to join Petronas, then you ask him like, why you want to join? He doesn't know.
Yes.
So what do you tell
So
them next?
usually the approach is trying to like ask him questions. So my coaching principle is getting them to kind of like understand why did you study engineering in the first place? What makes you interested in engineering? What's your favorite subject? What kind of careers would you like to pursue? And then thinking about which companies might be suited for you. So if it is Petronas, go ahead. But a lot of people apply for Petronas for the name or for the branding or for the prestige of like, oh, I'm working in Petronas. But if you really have a solid reason of why you want to be a part of Petronas because you believe in their values, you believe in the mission that they have, great, go ahead. But most of them don't see that. They just see that, oh, I want to be an engineer with Petronas because it's Petronas.
Right, that makes sense. So how do you make money out of this? Like you consult them, but then how do you charge them?
I do coaching and I charge them different packages. So if it's just one-off coaching or some of them take on different packages of like 3 or 4 coaching sessions. I also do career workshops and career classes. So sometimes universities will invite me to come and do a workshop for them, for their students. So that's where the income comes in.
Right, okay. So out of the consulting, the talk, which one is the most income generation?
I would probably say the workshops because
interesting.
It's for an hour and 2 hours, and then and most of the time the topics that they ask for or the topics that I deliver are similar topics that I've done in the past, so it's very easy to prepare for them. But individual coaching is because it takes up a lot of time, and also like what I do for you, I can't do for somebody.
It's not scalable.
It's not scalable.
Right, yeah.
It's very individualized.
One-to-one. Correct.
It's very personalized, and I want to make sure that that person is getting the most out of it based on what they need.
So how much are you charging for the one-to-one, if you don't mind?
I think for students it's 75
per hour.
Yes.
All right, but 1 hour is enough usually.
For most people, the initial hour is because they don't know where to start.
Right.
Some people might have harder time trying to keep to it themselves. So then we would do 2 or 3 hour session that is split across 1 or 2 months. So then we will do resume workshop, resume review in the first session, and in the second session we'll explore different careers that might be suitable for them. Look into application, work into interview skills, confidence, things like that.
How about the experienced guys? I think there's a lot of people out there. They study something, they work for something for a couple of years, and then they decide, I hate this shit. And then they want to do something else, but they have no idea.
Yes.
So do you have people like that?
So yes, I do. I am working with a couple of them right now. One of them is a pharmacist trying to not work in pharmacies anymore.
Okay, does she know what to do else besides the pharmacy? Or she's like completely like, I don't know what to do, but I definitely know I don't want to do pharmacy. Is that?
Well, she's like, I don't really mind doing pharmacy. It's just she's working in retail pharmacy, so it's very time consuming because you work in shifts, you don't have your weekends sometimes, you have to work public holidays and all that. So she's looking for different jobs. But then when I ask her kind of like, what are you interested in? I don't really know. So then it's a lot of self-exploration in that case of looking at different jobs, seeing which one would fit, what kind of skills such that she has.
So you look at like her personality, sit down with her, and what fits with what the market is offering, something like that? Is that what you're doing?
So we look at her resume, talk about her experiences, see what from all her experiences, what she's been doing good at, what she hates, what she likes about the job, and trying to think about, okay, so if you like this part of the job, let's think about other jobs that might have similar areas that you might be interested to explore. So we'll be doing a lot of different exploration, just looking up random job on Job Street and seeing, okay, would you be interested in something like this? Or what's your strengths and how would you go about using that in the job?
That's really interesting because I also changed my career many times. I was an engineer before, then I was doing some other stuff. Eventually I got into content marketing and wanted to be a full-time thing. But if I knew this service exists earlier, I would totally get some guidance because I figured it out all by myself. So I feel like I wasted a lot of time doing it on my own. It felt very daunting.
Yes,
and lonely.
it is very daunting. I think that's why it's a lot of them. I've been talking about switching jobs, but I don't know how to start or where to start or how to do it. And a lot of them don't have the confidence that they don't know how to switch from one industry to another. So that's kind of where a career coach comes in place to kind of help them go through the whole confidence of like just making that jump across.
Cool. Okay, so the pharmacy was one example. What are the other examples?
I have one who was an engineer but didn't work as an engineer. She worked in Produa, but kind of like as a customer service kind of person. So now she wants to try to get back into technical area, but then she doesn't know how to do it because she's been working in customer service side of things. Some of them work in audit or corporate and then don't like the corporate world but don't know where they want to go afterwards.
So what do you tell them to do? I mean, that's a very common problem, by the way. They have a really good job, cushy job in corporate, get paid really well, but like, man, I hate this stuff.
It's the hustle, it's the time, work-life balance. Some people don't like like working in corporate
Yeah,
after
yeah.
a while.
So how do you help them explore?
So it's just pinpointing kind of their strengths.
Right.
So a lot of people don't know what they're good at and what they're bad at. So it's just really a lot of self-exploration that some people are not used to because they're not used to talking about themselves.
Right.
They're not used about they're not used to bragging about themselves as well.
Right.
So
Are you using the concept of ikigai?
a little bit, but not directly.
Okay.
It's more of I use SWOT analysis a lot.
SWOT. Okay.
So just exploring their own strengths, what are they good at, what are they bad at, talking about when they're talking about their job, what part of their job do you hate and you don't want to do at all, and then what part of the job that you enjoy and you still want to continue doing that if there's a chance. And then we explore that a little bit, and usually I tend to get them to talk to other people in the industry, find a mentor, talk to different people in different industries, see what they are doing for them to kind of explore, because at the end of the day a career coach doesn't guarantee you a job.
But do you help to match, right?
We don't help too much, so we guide you in exploring what you want to and what you might enjoy doing, but we don't force you to do what we tell you to do.
Okay, but
So-
do you, I see a potential revenue stream for you.
Yeah.
Do you get affiliate income from referring a candidate to a job?
No, because I have a thing that one of the job portals offer affiliate in terms of like, get job seekers to apply for this job and then you get affiliates. I don't also enjoy doing that per se. Like I said, I have the boundaries
Yeah,
of like...
but let's say the thing that you channel them to just happen to be something that was already on that platform.
Yeah.
And you can make some money there, right?
In a way, yes, but yeah, because for me personally, like money making isn't my main goal. My main
right.
goal is helping them to explore, making sure that they are making the best decision for themselves.
A rich lady over here. For me, I'm like, yeah, I gotta pay my bills, you know.
I think I got lucky because even though technically I'm doing Kerja Kerjaya as a full-time thing, but I also have a part-time consulting job, so that pays my monthly salary. So I have a
Right.
monthly income that comes
Right.
in steadily, at least for the next couple of months. So having that actually kind of allows me to be a little bit more
Picky of who
picky
you-
about
okay.
who I want and what I want to promote.
This is very interesting, and I think this episode will help a lot of people because not everybody, like myself 5 years ago, I was going through this issue. I didn't have anybody to talk to, you know, I don't know who to talk to. So if some people, they're willing to buy, they're willing to pay if you can help them. But maybe 5 years ago, you didn't exist for my situation at the time, or maybe I didn't discover you, right?
I think that's the thing. Career coaching in Malaysia, there's actually a lot of career coaches.
But they're lame, if I'm honest. I mean,
It depends on who you talk to.
yeah, no, okay, sorry, not saying lame, but what I mean is, by the end of the day, you and another career consultant or whatever, you guys telling the same thing, right? But what makes somebody go to you instead of the other people is they like you. That's
I've
basically
had
it.
one person who said that they actually went to another career coach before they came to me, and the other career coach is a very professional one. Because career coaching, technically speaking, you don't need qualification.
Yeah.
So anybody can just be a career coach as long as you have experience and know how to talk to people. So she actually went to this other person who's been working in the industry for I think about 15-20 years. So very, very professional experience, accomplished in their field. And then she came to me saying that, I need more help because I've been talking to this other person, and the other person kind of makes me feel stupid about not knowing the stuff
there
that I
you
don't
go.
know.
There you
and
go.
I'm just like, well, you're a job seeker, you're a graduate. Of course you don't know stuff.
But who made that person feel stupid? The
other
coach.
career
The coach.
Yes.
The coach not supposed to do that.
So I kind of feel like, why did they say that to you? Because
They say what?
the stupid part, like why are you so stupid that you don't know?
They say that literally?
Not in that phrase, but they make the first person feel stupid about like why do you
condescending.
Yes, it's very condescending. And I think as a coach, for me, I'm not there to judge people.
Right.
If you don't know what you want to do, or if you're just looking for the most high-paying job because you need to pay your monthly
Bills.
commitments and bills,
Right.
go for it. If that is what is important to you, I don't care. Like
Yeah.
my job is just to help you find the best solution that works for you based on what you need. So if a person just needs a 9 to 5, I don't really care. I just want something close to home. I just want to work
Right.
in the office, 9 to 5, go back home and be with my family.
Yeah.
We will work to find a solution and what works for you.
Coming back to being condescending there,
Yeah.
right? I think from my experience, when I was many years ago, I was looking for help as well, desperately. Yeah, there's a lot of career coach and they all like very professional and like that, right?
Very.
So to me, they come across as less approachable, you know. So I mean, they're not condescending, but but just the first impression is like,
It's very
I'm above you.
serious
Yeah,
and very professional. So in a way, if you want to look professional, that's fine. But it makes it harder, like you said,
it's not
for
it's not
people
approachable.
to approach.
Yeah. So what I like about your branding is that you come across the way you put yourself out there. Obviously, you're knowledgeable at what you do, but the vibe is very relaxed and relatable.
That's why I like what I do, and
Yeah.
I think that's why a lot of students come to me, is because they don't see me as they call me coach sometimes, but they don't see me as a career coach or professional. They see me as a sister, as a friend. So it makes it very easy for me to kind of understand them a little bit more. I actually realized that in my first job at Monash, because I was there and I was the youngest advisor in our team, and then the students kind of like to talk to me
Prefer
because
you because they feel very relatable, right?
I was just a few years older than that, so they were like, Miss Syaza, I hate my classes, I don't know what to do. So it makes it easier to kind of like advise them in that sense, because they open up to me.
Yeah, because if they go to the older consultant, like, suck it up, man. Get a job. Right? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So that's really good personal branding that you have. Okay. So those are the products that you're selling, which is your consulting, your getting people. Yeah. So what's the difference between the seminar and the classes?
The workshops or the talks are usually university will invite me to come and deliver, and then usually they will give the topic by themselves. So like, right. Can you come and talk about personal branding to our students? We have this date and this time for 2 hours to 200 students. Come and deliver the session for them.
Okay.
So I will do it. But I also have a job search masterclass that I do, the Kerja-Kerjaya masterclass. So the first cohort will be in May, so right after Raya. So I trialed it out during COVID, because after talking to a couple of people and doing coaching over COVID, and people were struggling to find a job, so I decided, you know what, I'm just going to randomly teach a class on how to find a job. So we did a couple of that over COVID, but...
Sorry, you said we. Who's we?
Oh, me.
Oh.
It was just me.
Multiple disorder, personality disorder.
So I tend to refer to Kerja-Kerjaya as we,
right.
just because I don't want it to be a meeting.
But it should be you, because people go to there because they know you.
Yes, but I do want Kerja-Kerjaya to grow and one day to have a team.
That's
not just me, but I still want to call it we as the official we.
Okay.
But yes, when I did the job search masterclass last time, it was just a one short 2.5 hour class where I talk about everything from personal branding, job seeking, resume writing, interview prep, and everything else. And it's very, very compact in 2.5 hours.
It's a little too much for the students.
It's too much for them to kind of, well, some of them do understand it, but it's too much for them to kind of take within that 2.5 hours. So I'm separating out into 4 different modules, but it's all going to be live classes because I don't like recording myself, but we might consider that in the future. So it's all live classes, 4 modules talking about different aspects of the job search, and then they also get coaching, and in between the sessions they have assignments to actually learn and put into practice what they've learned in that one session.
So I think you're doing really good for yourself, really. Congratulations. So you use content to help market yourself and your So can you give us a rough, let's say, game plan of how do you use content to promote yourself and ultimately your services?
So I tend to talk more about I use my own experiences to kind of share and also then promote the services. So I talk about my own experience going for interviews, or recently I kind of like did an experiment because I realized that Malaysians love anything that is copy and pasted. So I posted a template of my resume, a picture of my resume, and I used this resume template, and it got me like 10 interviews and job offers.
But did that really happen?
Yes, I actually did that on LinkedIn, and it's like very funny because I did the comment, send me a template if you want a resume template, and after that I actually posted a lot more about like how the template doesn't really matter and it's all the content, and people still commented of like, can you share me the template, and I'm just like, you don't read. And then after that, I kind of like push them off to Kerja-Kerjaya. This is a little bit more of the services, the review, and everything else. So some of them do come up and ask for like resume reviews for them, or some of them will even buy it for their friends.
Cool. All right. So do you see yourself doing this for a long time, or?
I see myself doing it for a long time, yes, because I enjoy doing it, but doing it full time for a long time, we'll see how that goes. Because for now, I enjoy what I do, and I like the fact that I have a stable income coming in from my consulting project, so I have the flexibility to do stuff.
To do this, which you're not really profit driven, but it's more passion driven.
It's more passion driven, but the money that comes in helps to actually build it and help me grow in the future. But
let's say that consulting gig ends.
That ends in August.
So you got a couple of months there.
Yes.
So when that ends and you don't have another thing, can this stand by itself? Is this what you're gonna do?
It can. I think to make this more sustainable in the long run as a full-time thing, it's just having to put in the commitment and the discipline to actually do it, which at this point I don't have the discipline to do it, but if I have to, then I will have to. But at this point, I just like the flexibility of it, and being able to be picky about what I do and all that.
Do you have an affiliate program for yourself?
Not yet.
I like you as a person. I want to help you. And I feel like some of my audience are also facing the similar issues that I think that your product can be a good match. So I don't know if you have an affiliate product, I would be happy to promote.
Yeah, we might think about that.
Right. Okay. So
far there's nothing yet.
So right now, when you go to your website, I saw that there's like 3 menus that they can pick. So the cheapest one is student, 75, and then the next one
is the job hunter. So I think it's 150, and then there's
the
a
next
career
one is?
explorer. So 250.
That one. So what's the difference between the job hunter career?
Job hunter, there's only 2 sessions, and then the career explorer, there's 3 sessions. So some people really need additional session to kind of like work through a lot of stuff.
Each session about 1 hour?
Yes.
Okay, so when people click on the buy now, what happens?
They email me, because I tend to kind of make sure that the issues that they're facing are actually things that I can actually help them with.
Right.
Because
so that's how you filter lah.
If it's not a right fit, I tend to recommend them to other people. So like I had one person asking, they're looking to transition into a more managerial executive level, and I don't do executive coaching because executive coaching takes up a whole different game.
Right.
So I would refer people to other coaches that I know would be more suitable for them based on what they need.
Did you get affiliate income from that?
No.
I think you should because the money helps to fund your channel, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I know you're not supposed to be profit driven, but if you want the business to survive, really, you got to pay yourself.
But like for me, because they do the same for me as well as a coach, because I am in contact with a lot of like coaches in Malaysia, and in the group of coaches I'm in, there's I am one of the youngest coaches in the group. So sometimes if they have things that they can't do, like workshops and all that, they tend to like, oh Syaza, are you free at this time? Do you want to do this? So we kind of like help each other out. I send certain clients to them, and then if they have events or workshops or sessions that they can't do, and they
so your particular niche is new job seekers,
young professionals, so like 3 to 5 that is looking to change from their first job to the second, because that's usually the hardest. When you are making that first change, you've been there for a while and you don't know what to change to, and after that it tends to get a little bit easier.
Okay, so yeah, that's a good niche to be in. So other coaches, when they have those kind of clients, like, I don't want to deal with this, then they pass to you, right? And vice versa, as somebody who's more managerial, like, hey, I don't cover that, so you
pass it over to them. Especially some of them have really technical questions that they really want to know, how do I become a very specific engineer in some cases. Then I would pass them on to somebody who's actually more aligned into that area as well.
Okay, so these guys who click buy now, they go email you, you filter them like, all right, I think I can help this person. So how do you collect payment then?
So they will make the bank transfer.
So you just transfer to this account. Okay. So no credit card or whatever that you accept?
Not yet. Because that would be helpful usually for products, but for services, because for me is making sure that the client is comfortable with me and I'm comfortable with them, because coaching is based off relationship. So if you don't vibe with the coach, or the coachee don't vibe with you, it doesn't help.
Correct. But what I mean is, let's say you done the, they email you already, and you say, you know what, this person match. Instead of just giving them a bank transfer, hey, please manually transfer here, or you can also pay by credit card. Does that? You ever thought about that?
One day, because
FPX is really big in Malaysia.
Yes, FPX is really big in Malaysia. I might consider that, because one part of what I want to do in the future as well, if I do this full time, is to allow them to kind of like book coaching slots and all that. But for
automatically, right?
Yes, but for now it's really, really hard with the baby, because baby. That takes up a lot of time. So
how about your scheduling? You use Calendly or something? Or?
Right now it's just via text. So because I don't work with a lot of clients at the moment, and also I limit to how many people I work with at one particular time. So then we will just text of like, okay, what time do you want to do it? And then I'll book it in my calendar. And then like last week, my baby's very, very cranky, won't let me do any work. So I have to reschedule stuff manually. And most of them are fine, because most of the people that I work with also have kids, so they kind of understand that.
Okay, so I think we are coming to the end of this video podcast. Let's recap here. What I like about your journey is that you started with something. We're from the same university, right?
Yes. So we are actually badges together.
Yeah, so I studied in University of Wisconsin, Madison in the US. but I was a lot older than you, I think. So that's why we never really met. But
Nope.
yeah, so I studied engineering.
I
and
studied
then-
business.
And then I started Airbnb, and then
Everything.
now I'm doing in content marketing. It's a mess. And she's actuarial science. Came back, did something else, which is student admin, and now she has her own business. So it's really cool.
It's really interesting.
I think this story really helps to inspire young adults. Like a lot of you guys have no idea what you want. Because how do I know? Because I was a young guy. I have no idea what I want.
Even
You
at
know?
this point, I still have no idea, but we're just winging it. Whatever works, try
Yeah.
it, and then if it changes in the future,
So
change it
I
again.
think by sharing these stories, my story, sharing your story, and whoever I interview next, it's good eye opener for the
Audience,
not just young people. I think
It's
everybody
everybody
really,
needs it.
even the young, even older people. Like, man, I should have changed my career or something like that. Right?
Who knows?
Yeah, and then they can work on it. You know,
Yes.
and now with the internet, you can do anything.
That's true.
Yeah, so that's really cool, and it's also good to see how you're doing content to market yourself. So you mostly do writing, or is it video?
I mostly do writing just because I kind of hate hearing myself in videos.
It's
I
funny
I
because
have a
you
thing
you
with
like
my voice.
Yeah, but you like to talk about yourself.
I
but-
like to talk. If I record it, I will post it up. I won't ever look at it anymore because I just hate my voice. So my friend did say that if I ever want to do TikTok videos, I just record it and then send it over to him, and then he would edit it for me. Because he knows that I should do more
Right.
videos, but I just don't like editing
Yes.
it because of my
Yes.
voice.
So right now, your biggest influence on a platform is what? Is it LinkedIn or is it Twitter or what?
I don't actually know because it used to be LinkedIn, and now I wasn't as active on LinkedIn as I was before, so it's a mix between LinkedIn and Twitter.
Okay.
I would probably
But I feel
say-
like you have the most followers on LinkedIn, like 11,000 or something like that.
Probably 16,000.
60.
at this
Yeah.
moment.
Sorry. Yeah. So that's a
The
pretty
goal
huge.
is to get to 20,000 by the end of the year.
That's a pretty
come
huge
follow
achievement.
me on LinkedIn.
Yeah, please follow her. So I'll leave the link down below. Okay, so yeah, that's really good. A lot of things that we learn. If you are confused about your career, or maybe you're a young student about to join into
Embark.
the working phase
Working
of your
world,
life,
yes.
you completely lost, and that's fine to be lost. Like most of us are completely
Most of us
have-
will be lost.
Like
as
my,
well.
my parents didn't help me out. Like they just like, hey, figure it out, right?
My parents don't have to worry because they'll be like, she'll figure her way out without us knowing.
something like that. So some people have more support than others.
Others.
Some don't. So I feel like this kind of service is because people are willing to pay if you can help them, right? And the charges is not crazy. I mean,
It's not
people can
too
afford. Yeah.
It's not too crazy. I've seen coaches that charges a lot more, but because they work with executive coaching, then
Yeah.
that's a different level. But because for me, like I said, it's not very profit driven. It's
Yeah.
making sure that the job seekers actually get the help that they need.
Right.
So that's kind of why the charges are affordable. At
right.
least that's because that's the target audience that I'm looking at.
All right, so there you go. Thanks for coming, Syaza, all the way here to create this video podcast. This is the second episode. So if you like this kind of stuff, please subscribe down below. And I'm going to leave you the link for Syaza's website and her services down in the description as well. All right, so say bye to the audience. Bye-bye.
Bye everybody. Thanks for having me again.
All right, okay, cool.